We agreed on those common values in the past videos. We see their value and their impact on one's life and others around them and on the society as a whole. As we explore now our actual ethical dilemmas or situations where we are tested to see how strong we stand or how strong we hold on to our values. Ethical dilemmas are situations in which we face conflicting moral principles, making it difficult to determine the right course of action. These dilemmas often involve a choice between two or more options, each of which has ethical implications and potential consequences on yourself and those around you. There are plenty of situations we can go through in life where these values are tested, these standards are checked, and those ethics we speak highly of are examined. Conflicting values. Ethical dilemmas arise when we encounter situations where we must choose between conflicting values or moral principles. Our values are those things we live by, our own Bible, our code. You can be tested at times. How strongly you stick to them is how happy you are with yourself. Imagine a person who highly values personal freedom, independence, and the pursuit of their own goals and desires. On the other hand, this individual also places importance on cultural or societal expectations that emphasize conformity, duty, and adherence to traditional norms. In this scenario, the conflict arises when the person's desire for personal autonomy clashes with the pressure to conform to societal expectations. For instance, they might face expectations from their family or community to follow a certain career path, marry according to cultural norms, or adhere to specific religious or social traditions. The individual may feel torn between staying true to their own values of independence and satisfying the expectations and norms imposed by the broader society or community. This conflict is common in diverse societies, where individuals may experience tension between their personal aspirations and the expectations of their cultural or social surroundings. Striking a balance between individual autonomy and societal expectations becomes a challenging task, and individuals may grapple with finding a resolution that aligns with their core values. Subjectivity. When ethics and standards are subjective and can vary from person to person, what one person sees as an ethical dilemma might not be perceived the same way by another. So those hard choices you see might not be that hard for others, because you simply do not embrace the same values. It is said, "You shall not expect yourself from others." But, and that is a big but, you must expect yourself from you. So do not compromise on yourself for others. Stay strong. One example revolves around the concept of honesty and lying. In certain situations, people may have different views on whether it is ethically acceptable to lie. Consider a scenario where a person finds themselves in a situation where telling the truth could potentially harm someone emotionally or even put them in danger. From a subjective standpoint, one individual might argue that lying is justified in this case to prevent harm and maintain a positive outcome. On the other hand, someone else may strongly adhere to the principle that honesty is an absolute moral value, regardless of potential consequences, and believe that lying is never ethically justified. The subjectivity arises because individuals may weigh the importance of honesty differently based on their personal experiences, cultural background, or philosophical beliefs. What one person considers ethically acceptable in a specific situation may conflict with another person's ethical standards. This subjectivity in ethical standards is a fundamental aspect of ethical relativism, where moral values are considered subjective and may vary from person to person or culture to culture. It highlights the complexity and diversity in ethical perspectives, making it challenging to establish universal ethical standards that are applicable to all individuals and cultures. Complexity. Ethical dilemmas are often complex, involving a mix of moral, legal, social, and personal considerations. If it was simple, it wouldn't be a dilemma, right? So when you are faced with a hard one, tough decision or a quick win that can compromise your own values, you know what to do. Stay strong. No clear right answer. One of the defining characteristics of ethical dilemmas is the absence of a clear-cut, universally accepted right answer. Each option may have its own ethical merits and drawbacks. Hence, we discussed the diversity in our previous videos. And because you can't make everyone happy unless you sell ice cream, they say, even then you might find people complaining your ice cream is too cold for them. So what you should do is always stick to what you see right. Your loss now, or your lost opportunity now, can come again, and will come in a better, more suitable way. And guess what? You have earned respect from the people involved every step of the way. So, stay strong. The reason why there is no clear answer, hence a dilemma, are a lot of factors and considerations. Subjectivity of values. As we mentioned, ethics is inherently subjective, as it involves individual and cultural values. Different people may prioritize different values, leading to varied perspectives on what is morally right or wrong. Context dependency. Ethical decisions are often context dependent. The same action may be considered ethical in one situation, but unethical in another. The specific circumstances surrounding an ethical dilemma can significantly impact the evaluation of the moral implications. Conflicting principles. Ethical dilemmas often involve conflicting ethical principles. For example, a situation may require balancing principles like honesty, justice, autonomy, and beneficence, and finding a solution that satisfies all principles can be challenging. Incomplete information. In many real-world scenarios, decision makers may not have complete information about the consequences of their actions. Uncertainty and incomplete information make it difficult to predict outcomes accurately and make a definitive ethical judgment. Cultural and individual differences. Cultural and individual differences contribute to the complexity of ethical decision-making. What is considered ethical in one culture may be viewed differently in another. Similarly, individuals within the same culture may hold diverse ethical perspectives. Dynamic nature of ethics. Ethical standards can evolve over time. What may have been considered ethical in the past may be re-evaluated in light of changing social norms, technological advancements, or a deeper understanding of ethical principles. Multiplicity of ethical theories. There are various ethical theories, such as consequentialism, deontology, virtue ethics, that provide different frameworks for ethical decision-making. These theories may yield conflicting recommendations in certain situations, contributing to the lack of a clear answer. Emotional and psychological factors. Emotions and psychological biases can influence ethical decision-making. individuals may experience internal conflicts, emotional distress, or cognitive biases that cloud their judgment. Considering these factors, ethical dilemmas often require careful consideration, empathy, and a nuanced understanding of the specific circumstances involved. Resolving ethical dilemmas may involve striking a balance between conflicting principles, considering the consequences of actions, and recognizing the inherent complexity of ethical decision-making. Decision-making process. Resolving ethical dilemmas involves a decision-making process where we must weigh the potential consequences of each option and consider our own ethical values. Your own, not anyone else's values. So when taking the decision, be aware of your temptation. And if you are lucky enough and have that level of self-awareness, you will realize your weaknesses and how others can play that against you to get you to compromise, both in professional and personal contexts. Stay strong. Personal and professional contexts. Ethical dilemmas can arise in both personal and professional contexts. In the workplace, professionals may face dilemmas related to honesty, fairness, and conflict of interest. And in the personal context, we face that all the time with friends and family members. Never underestimate that social pressure or peer pressure, as it's most commonly experienced both in clear and subtle ways. Stay strong. Impact on stakeholders. Ethical decision-making often involves considering the impact on various stakeholders, including individuals, groups, or the broader community. Would you harm that colleague for a quick win for you? Would you do someone wrong to be on good terms with another? Would you forge some numbers to show how good you got the job done? Would you claim credit for someone else's hard work? All those are simple examples, yet we commonly face them. It comes back around, my friend. The truth will be known, and everything will come out to the light sooner than you expect. And the effort you will put validating your actions is a lot more than being honest at the first place. The temptation can be huge, especially when you are at threat. So, stay strong. Legal versus ethical. It's important to note that something may be legal, but still presents an ethical dilemma. Legal standards and ethical principles may not always align. The question of law is very tricky. You can have guiding standards, like the code of conduct in your workplace, or domestic relations law, and yet legally, organizationally, you can get away with things. But the HR will not tell you don't backstab your colleagues, and the lawmaker can't force you to be kind to your spouse and support them emotionally when they need it. So be aware of those terms, and know even though you can get away with certain things legally, the damage you cause to yourself and others can be huge. Stay righteous. Role of empathy and compassion. Ethical decision-making often involves an understanding of others' perspectives, empathy, and compassion. Considering the human element is crucial. That is a key element, or should be a key factor in your decision-making process. So consider the impact of your actions on others. How would that impact them, personally and professionally? Simple question. Will you be able to look them in the eye and say, "Yes, I did that"? Examples of ethical dilemmas include issues related to truthfulness, confidentiality, conflicts of interest, and the balance between individual rights and societal welfare. Navigating ethical dilemmas requires careful consideration, ethical reasoning, and, in some cases, consultation with others. It's an ongoing process that involves continuous reflection on one's values and principles. It is not hard if we know our weaknesses. Stay righteous and stay strong. How many times did I say stay strong? Many times. Only because I want you to know that it is a temptation that only a few people can resist. A test that only few people can pass. So, once again, stay strong.